Hey YouTube, this is Southern Prepper 1. Today I'm going to bring you a video about the South Carolina permitless carry, constitutional carry, whatever you want to call it. Our governor just signed it, so we're the 29th state that has this, which is great. South Carolina Legislature has been fighting this issue for the last couple of years. In 2021, they passed open carry, but you had to have a permit to carry openly. But they finally passed legislation to let us have our constitutional right to keep and bear arms. Richland County Sheriff said now he's ready for the Wild West. He's not happy with it. I've talked to numerous law enforcement officers that I'm friends with. I'm friends with a lot of law enforcement officers. And a bunch of them told me, and I was very disgusted with them. Their response was, now it's going to make my job harder. So, if you want to go down that road, it's going to make your job harder. Why don't you get rid of all the Constitution? We can make your job easier. There'll be no protest, no peaceful protest. You don't have the right to do that anymore. My job will be easier as a law enforcement. I won't have to be out there. How about the right of free speech? If we get rid of that, it'd be easier for you guys. Because no one will be saying nothing, no one will be stirring up trouble, no one will be making people think. We could go on and on to make your job easier. Your job is a hard job. I have ultimate respect for people in law enforcement when they do the right thing. I appreciate law enforcement. I'm not anti-law enforcement, that's for sure. I like knowing that there is a level of protection or help out there. Now, anytime I needed law enforcement or any family members, friends, or if I'm out and I see a need for law enforcement, they're not there. Basically, they're not there. You call them and you wait. And then they will arrive on the scene. So to put my trust in law enforcement to protect me, my family, is insanity. I'm in charge of my own personal security, my family's security, not law enforcement. Trust me, they're never there when you need them. And I'm not dishing them. I'm just telling you there's not enough law enforcement. So you have to take care of yourself. So if I hear another officer say this is going to make my job harder, I think I'm going to scream. Just quit. In the military, my job was hard all the time because we had rules of engagements. There was times it was very easy for us. There was times when you had to follow procedures and steps. So if another one says, make my job harder, I'm going to scream, and you need to quit. You have a very hard job, and I know that. Back before they issued permits in South Carolina, a long time ago, we had the same group of people say, oh, it's going to be the Wild West. It's going to be chaos, anarchy. People will have guns running around. That didn't happen. Also, in many states that have done the constitutional carry, there's no issues. Absolutely no issues. Yes, you're going to have to train law enforcement how to deal with people, but that's their job. So if you're a resident of South Carolina, I think you can also own property in South Carolina, but you need to check with your attorney, check with the law. You could still carry if you own property. If you're legally able to carry or buy that gun, you can carry that gun. Now, there's places where you can't go, so you need to check into that. But so many people in law enforcement are saying, oh, no, you need training. You guys are full of crap because the current 8-hour training that you would use to get your concealed weapons permit is crap. My wife even said it was crap. When she took the class, it was like, I didn't learn nothing. I already knew this stuff. That 8-hour class is check the box so you can get your permit. So don't tell me, oh no, these people are going to be running around. Go see what the 8-hour class is like. The funny thing is, I know 4 people that give concealed weapons permit classes. 4 of them. I heard one person talking about it, but not one of the 4 I know. They're really upset. You know why they're upset? because they just had their revenue. They're saying, oh no, these people need training. Your training 8 hours is crap. Literally. You're going to learn a little bit about the law, which could be readily available on a website that you could look at, read, study, and know the same thing in 30 minutes. Now, if you don't go to that 8-hour class, you're not going to get the coffee and donuts, though. You're not going to have that long lunch break. You do shoot. You shoot at a target. I've helped out at a couple concealed weapons classes on the range just as a safety officer. I'm not at all trained, but I was there just to make sure the people watching and the people shooting, the people watching didn't touch their firearm. Very easy, just to make sure it went smooth. Most of the people couldn't shoot. I will admit that. People that I know personally, I could name a whole list of people. People I associate train heavily. People say, oh, the civilians aren't trained. I would be glad to throw about 50 people I know pretty well into a hat. You go to any local small department around here and you throw all the police officers or sheriff's names in there. I will pick 10 and you pick 10 and we'll have a shoot-off between the people like me and local law enforcement. I've shot with local law enforcement. I've been there to help them. They're not that good. They should be better. And some of that is, I know officers that don't care about firearms. I love shooting. It's a hobby of mine, so I shoot a lot of rounds. Some officers are officers. They don't care about that firearm. They qualify and shoot only when their department says to shoot. So they're not as good. I wish there was more money for more ammo for local law enforcement so they become so proficient, because I want them so proficient, because their chances of using their firearm is probably higher than mine, because I run from problems. They have to go straight into a problem and deal with it. Now, it's sort of funny because there's been accidental discharges in law enforcement agencies in my area that never make it to the public. I hear about it because people talk about it. Or law enforcement agents that leave their firearm in the bathroom. That happens more than you think. A lot of things could be better for law enforcement. I'm not here smashing them. But for law enforcement to say, we need training for these people. You never sat through an 8-hour concealed weapons class because there's no training there. You're going to learn some laws, and then you're going to go to the range and shoot to make sure you can hit the target. I would love law enforcement to do real training. I've been in some awesome training environments with the military. My DD-214 shows them. My resume is a lot. I received real training. Most civilians can't. So I applaud if law enforcement want to set up training courses, and the South Carolina is setting up some courses, but I'm going to attend one of them because I want to see what they teach you. If it's basically like the concealed weapons class, give you some rules, some laws, and then you go to the range and shoot, it's okay. But it is not going to cut it if you really want to carry your weapon all the time. The funny thing is, the guys I know that carry their weapon religiously every second of the day burn through, I don't know, thousands of rounds, probably 1,000 rounds a month or 2 months or 3 months. They burn through, I guarantee you, 10 times or more what local law enforcement burns through a month. So for law enforcement to say, oh, these people, civilians aren't qualified. We would be more qualified people out there for gun safety and for personal defense and situational awareness. But there's a thing that was created in this country. It's called the militia. Better not say that word. YouTube doesn't like it. The federal government hates it. Even local law enforcement don't like it. Some agencies don't like it. It's a bad word. It's only a bad word because the liberals and the anti-constitutionalists and the people that hate this country has made it a bad word. Local law enforcement complain all the time. I don't got manpower. I don't got this. I don't got that. The funny thing is, we had a system in place, the local militia. The local militia could be used for any emergency. The sheriff of my county could have a lost child, which is usually handled by them or by the fire department, especially if it's not a criminal case. A child just gets lost hiking. Local law enforcement could have 1,000 extra hands in Pickens County. You could call it a militia. You could call it a community watch group. You could call it whatever you want. No reason why Pickens County or any county is short manpower. The people I associate with could all pass a background check to be in law enforcement. If I knew someone that couldn't pass the test because of many reasons, I wouldn't associate with them. These are people that are very successful in life, that know their jobs in the civilian world. And a lot of them are highly motivated to assist their community. So why doesn't local communities, sheriff's deputies, or sheriff's departments especially, want a militia force? First of all, a lot of them think militia is bad. A lot of law enforcement put it's us against them. And the us is the law enforcement and them is the civilians. I talk to cops. I have cops in my family. And that is a common thing. It's us against them. It's us against them because a bunch of politicians, a bunch of liberal ideas have popped up where they say you can't trust them. You can't trust the politicians. You can't trust the prosecutors that don't prosecute crimes, that let people out. It's not the citizens. We want criminals to be put in jail. We want to support our local law enforcement. But there needs to be a trust. If we had a militia, more people would be highly trained. People want to support their communities. People want to support law enforcement. People want to support what is right. A lot of times, and I know this for a fact because I've talked to law enforcement, they view preppers as anti-government, anti-law and order, anti-authority. We're not. We're probably closer to what we want to support. Good local authority. We want to support government. Especially, we know that government has been ordained by God. Now, the government we have now is not on the right footing. So I applaud the legislators for getting this passed. I want to tell local cops, if you were relying on doing your job because those people carry a little piece of plastic and they had 8 hours of training, you're fooling yourself. That wasn't training. So get training. I'm talking to everyone, anywhere in the whole United States. Train. If you carry a firearm, it's a huge responsibility. Learn to use it. If you're not burning hundreds of rounds of ammunition every month, or doing something similar with dry firing or some type of training, because I know ammo's expensive, find you a compatible gun that's very similar to your carry gun that's a 22 long. At 22, you shoot very cheaply. You shoot 1,000 rounds and it doesn't break the bank. And that does help you with good training. So if I hear one more law enforcement officer say, oh, it's going to make my job harder because the legislator let the citizens of South Carolina exercise their constitutional rights and some God-given rights, I'm going to scream. Quit your job, quit bitching, and follow the supreme law of the land. You guys swear an oath to the Constitution? You don't swear an oath to your sheriff, your police chief, the federal government, the state government. It's to the Constitution. And it's very clear, I have a right to keep and bear arms. I have a right to make sure I'm protected. And I have a right to protect my family at all times. If you disagree with that and you're in law enforcement, my opinion is you're wrong. Reevaluate. Thanks for watching.